So it'll be less difficult. It'll be easier to deliver our message. It'll be more difficult, though, because the establishment will not underestimate us. It will continue to undermine us, but they will not underestimate us. So the knives will be out.
When the state of Oklahoma voted in a referendum to amend the Constitution to ban Sharia law. What does that mean? I don't know. And yet the voters banned it anyway.
Empires never die quietly, and we must end the American empire regardless.
I think these are windows into the souls of these anti-American radical communists.
Hasan Piker is having a full-on meltdown after Wisconsin flat-out rejects DSA Socialist Francesca Hong. And now the progressive meltdown is in full swing. Just watch.
But when you're so crazy that Bernie Sanders and AOC won't even endorse you, you're pretty far out there. I think these holiday conversations are actually valuable. She hates Thanksgiving. Today, our own K-File here at CNN uncovered the fact that over in Michigan, Abdul El-Sayed wants to get rid of the 4th of July. And I think the reason these things are...
I think he said we should get rid of fireworks.
He was very critical of the 4th of July. I think these are windows...
But I'm just saying getting rid of fireworks is different than getting rid of the 4th of July.
I think you're downplaying the message.
We don't have the quote here, so let's not adjudicate.
I can't stand when these liberal talking heads say and do anything to defend the radical ideas of their party, as if getting rid of Thanksgiving and the 4th of July and even the Constitution is no big deal. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is openly strategizing on how to get people comfortable with their socialist candidates.
Just a few days ago, Hillary Clinton was publicly strategizing on television about how they were going to make these Democrat socialists more palatable.
How do we make sure that people who voted for Haley feel comfortable voting for Abdul El-Sayed? And how do we get independents to feel comfortable? And you can see that it's not just about Michigan, but the Republican messaging is communist, socialist. It's going to be a very effective attack. And so people on the left have to be prepared to answer that and to be effective at answering it. They are trying to, bring back scare tactics about our candidate.
It's not scare tactics when the ones campaigning are openly stating their agenda. Hong was supposed to be the rising star of the Democratic Socialist movement.
Democrats have found a candidate who hates Thanksgiving and wants to get rid of it. Yes, running for governor in Wisconsin, Francesca Hong. Have you heard about this? Yeah, Thanksgiving, she says, should be canceled. I say good. Finally, a politician willing to stand up to big stuffing. Of course, yesterday she went on CNN, renounced it. I don't believe you. I don't believe you people who renounce things. We know what you said. You mean it. Live by it. Squirrely out of it. No, you meant it. You know why I know she meant it? Because she hates all holidays. She talked about feeling attacked on Christmas when someone put on her computer a Christmas scene. Doesn't like fireworks, 4th of July. Halloween, all the far lefties hate Halloween. Costumes that are inappropriate, oh please. This woman doesn't like Valentine's Day, another way of capitalism taking over our love life. She said, Valentine's Day, the holiday that brings out the worst of humanity. That's the holiday that brings out the worst of humanity? Have you ever been to a Black Friday sale? Okay, so this is her policy. No Christmas, no Thanksgiving, no July 4th, no Halloween, no Valentine's Day. One place you don't have to worry about running into Francesca Hong, Party City. I couldn't make a character like this up, and she's running for governor of a big state, Wisconsin. She also said that she once left a restaurant because she had an anxiety attack from being around, quote, too many old white people. Well, there's an easy solution to that. Don't go to Cracker Barrel.
Now, if you think Wisconsin is the only place where Democrats are struggling to explain these candidates, think again, because they have the exact same problem playing out in Michigan with Abdul El-Sayed, who just can't seem to understand why Americans would amend the Constitution and ban Sharia law.
This is obscene political propaganda, putting Sharia law in the same category of victimhood as historic American tragedies. It is a perfect example of how illiberal movements use liberal policies as a Trojan horse to smuggle in this case, their specific brand of Islamic authoritarianism. But you are right about one thing, Abdul. You don't know what any of this means. Take a listen to this.
Question 755. When the state of Oklahoma voted in a referendum to amend the Constitution to ban Sharia law. What does that mean? I don't know. And yet the voters banned it anyway. And I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, those forces are alive and well today.
Folks, look what he is doing. He is actually coming on out here saying publicly in a public speech, a video he most certainly did not want us to see. They tried to delete this footage. He says, banning Sharia law in the United States is akin to, it is the same as the Trail of Tears. It is the same as chattel slavery. It is the same as blowing up random buildings in acts of domestic terrorism.
Yeah, but Hasan still believes El-Sayed will win.
More moderate voters, some of the more conservative voters, and actually pulls off a tremendous victory against Mike Rogers, okay, that would prove that a socialist can win in a fucking swing state.
And speaking of what these candidates and their allies actually believe, let's take a step back for a second and look at the bigger movement behind the DSA, because this isn't just about one candidate, one streamer, or the multiple controversial comments. They're taking the gloves off and pulling the mask down.
Somehow the Democrats went from saving democracy to this.
This is not going to end with a rally or a vote. This is going to end with a mass movement to put an end to the war machine. There's nothing unique about this era in history that makes an empire inevitable. We can end the U.S. empire here in America. We can help build a better world.
It's not going to end with a rally or a vote. It's going to end with a better world. For whom exactly? The party members?
Empires never die quietly, and we must end the American empire regardless. The fall of the USSR was one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century. Just wait.
Mandami's aide, his top aide, Sia Weaver, said if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize property, it's over, and impoverish the white middle class.
Beast mode. I love her so much. Mao Zedong is one of the great leaders of this world.
Now, if you thought those previous comments were bad, wait until you hear what Hasan Piker has to say about the Constitution itself.
Piker has some choice words for the country that has given him the opportunity to make tens of millions of dollars, get a college degree, be free of the terrorism that is his own country, and allowed him to be a citizen just for being born on U.S. soil, even though his parents were not citizens. Watch.
I f*** the Constitution. I wipe my ass with the Constitution. It's a piece of paper, dude. Shut the fuck up. Mother the Constitution and mother this country, okay? You stupid bitch.
The Twitch streamer and close campaign ally of Abdul El-Sayed made the comments in a previous live stream, treating the U.S. Constitution as nothing more than toilet paper. Piker has appeared repeatedly alongside El-Sayed at multiple campaign events, with El-Sayed declining to disavow Piker's statements. Piker has a documented record of inflammatory anti-American rhetoric, including saying America deserved 9/11 and that the streets should run red with capitalist blood. However, Piker made his $35 million fortune in the U.S.'s capitalist system, streaming on an American-owned platform from his $3 million West Hollywood home, complete with 5 bedrooms and a pool, and raking in over $4 million a year from American subscribers and advertisers. Even so, he says he hates white people, wants to destroy the middle class, and the country should be socialist. However, he has not volunteered to distribute his millions, allow migrants to live in his house, or live stream for free, and says it's okay for him to have a $3 million home because he's not accumulating wealth and he didn't buy a private jet. But everybody else has to give all their money away.
It gets even more interesting when you look at some of Piker's other statements over the years. And let's not forget, he's also a prominent supporter and campaign ally of both Francesca Hong and Abdul El-Sayed. And honestly, it amazes me how this guy is still being treated as a legitimate voice in mainstream politics.
I think these are windows into the souls of these anti-American radical communists. If you hate Thanksgiving and you hate the 4th of July, what you're really saying is, I hate some of the pillars that undergird American culture. And how are you going to have a conversation with a voter about affordability or public safety or anything else if you're trying to get rid of Thanksgiving and the 4th of July? I mean, if I were Christmas and Easter, I wouldn't be feeling too comfortable right now.
Yes. Just imagine what the reaction would be if someone on the right said these things about the Constitution, race, or destroying an entire group of people. Do you think the media would describe that person as just misunderstood? Do you think they would even try to run cover for them? Or would they immediately call them a threat to democracy, a racist, a bigot? I bet they wouldn't even let them on their platform. And it's no secret that the DSA wants to completely dismantle our economy, our government, our healthcare, our borders, our Supreme Court, our Constitution. But now they want to take away our holidays too. You really can't make this stuff up. It seems like these people have a hatred for anything American. And honestly, I don't see how the media can just laugh it off as if they aren't serious. And apparently we've gotten to the point to where people are actually voting for candidates that have these ideologies. Just think about how close Hong actually came to winning. I honestly don't even know what to say about it anymore. I mean, seriously, it's one thing to see some random people online support these ideas, but people are actually saying, yeah, this is who I want running the government. And I think that's the part I find hard to believe. I just think a lot of these people conveniently forget that if they give the government more control over their life, eventually the government's going to decide what you're allowed to keep. Because you can't just hand over control over your property, your income, your businesses, your investments, and then pretend like there's going to be some magical line where they suddenly say, okay, that's enough, you can keep the rest. No, it doesn't work like that. Once they've been given that kind of power, it creates the ability for these politicians to decide who owns what and who gets what. And that's the part nobody really wants to talk about. They tell you they're coming after the rich. And speaking of rich, am I the only one that noticed how all of these socialists seem to be pretty well off financially? All thanks to our wonderful capitalism. And then you have people like Hasan Piker, whose net worth is somewhere between 8 to 14 million, or maybe even more. Basically become one of the biggest online megaphones for this socialist movement. Millions of people are actually listening to this guy spew his hateful nonsense, hearing how capitalism is the enemy and how he wipes his butt with the Constitution, his hatred for whites, his hatred for blacks, his hatred for America in general. So if this guy feels this way, it's really hard not to believe his political allies share some of these same ideologies. And you can't just laugh this stuff off and call it misunderstood. But then again, that's just my opinion. I would love to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.